Hello friends, today we are going to do something that I have been promising for a very long time, which is to say a little bookshelf tour. And it's going to be a quick one because it is almost 97 degrees today and I am hot and cranky. Before we get started on that though, I want to bring your attention to something behind me that I finally got framed. These are some photos by my friend Alyssa, but what I'm referring to, and sorry for the glare, is this illustration that I commissioned from my friend Becky of my wedding portrait. This was an anniversary gift for Yvonne. And I finally got it framed. It turns out it was just a standard size and I could have used any old frame. Anyway, she made me levitating. Isn't that cool? It's been like 5 or 6 months since my last upload. Obviously, some things have changed, my hair for one, but we are here for the books today, so I will just dive right in. Before we get started, I do want to draw your attention to a piece of art I had commissioned this year from Handsome Devil's Puppets. As you know, I have a few others from this artist. This is my latest. Bonus points to you if you know who this is. And I'll sing you a little snippet as a clue. Ha! I'm not doing that. My little sister watches these videos. If I sang on camera, she would probably cringe out of her skin and die. And if she didn't, then probably most of you would. So anyway, if you're curious, and even if you're not, you'll thank me. Look up Stevie Nicks Fajita Roundup. You will not be disappointed. Let's take a look at my shelves. So this is mostly a poetry shelf. And when you get down here, you have some of my books and some art books, but it's mostly poetry. So this shelf is home to some of the books that I have gifted most in my life. The first is River of Stars, poetry by Yosano Akiko. The second is, if I pull this out, everything's going to collapse. It is The Pillow Book by Sei Shonagen. And the third, actually this is the first. This is the #1 book that I give to everyone I love. This is Salt is for Curing by my friend Sonia Vitomsky. It is a beautiful, magical book of poetry. And of course we've got some Mary Oliver. We've got The Argonauts, which I'm not sure I understood a single word of, but it seemed important to read. Bird by Bird. This is writing advice by Annie Lamott. I don't know that there's anything life-changing in there, but it's just a really great book. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I have on this shelf. Now we are scooting across the floor to the shelf that sits directly behind my desk. And this is, well, it's a whole bunch of stuff. There's Time Life Enchanted World books. There's some gothic romance, some various things. We'll have a seat. So right on top, we have a bunch of creepy dolls taking up space where books could be. But I have one very important book here. This began its life, well, at least when I came to know it. It was a 50-cent paperback copy of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. But I loved it so much that it fell apart and I had it rebound by McCall Books, whose craft I highly recommend. On this shelf we have some ghost stories. And again, those very important and formative Time Life books. I read this from cover to cover several times, dozens of times, when I was a little girl. We've also got my copies of my books as well as the foreign editions. We've got some gothic romance books that I have not read a single one. I just bought them for the cover art. And because I researched the covers and I actually know who some of them are, or some of the artists are rather, but the print's too small for me to read. Also, I have, as you can see, a huge thing on the Tarot of Leonora Carrington, some black and white photo books by Simon Marsden, and some books from my childhood. Now, in the bookshelf next to my desk, that's pretty full too. We've got a lot of art books up here. And again, we have got another very formative book. I've had this since I was about 10 years old. The Handbook of American Folklore. I tracked that down because I'm pretty sure it was featured in Stephen King's book, The Dark Half, when Thad Beaumont went to a local professor to ask some advice. I think that's the book he was using. I don't know for sure. Then we've got my Junji Ito shelf. We've got some more creepy, uncanny, disquieting literature and nonfiction. And then we've got my shelf full of witchy business, or perhaps some various occult or esoteric studies. We've got some Robert Aikman and a whole collection of anthologies by Manley and Lewis. That was a sister duo who edited a lot of spooky anthologies. And down here, there's some more art books and various niche interests. And there is a gorgeous painting by Lupe Luciana Vasconcelos that I haven't found a place for yet. So that was it for the books in my office. Now we've got some bookshelves out in the parlor. This is a lot of assorted stuff. We've got a lot of nonfiction up here. A lot of Robert McFarlane. He is one of my favorite nonfiction authors, although it takes me 2 to 3 years to read a single book about his dense, poetic explorations of landscape. We've got a lot of Gothic type literature here, or weird fiction on this next shelf. This is a bit of an assortment. I read John Green's book recently. I read a digital copy and I loved it so much. I bought a physical copy for the shelf because I'm sure I'll want to revisit it. And House of Psychotic Women, I actually have about 2 or 3 copies of this book. I highly recommend that one, especially if you like weird female-centric films. And then this is just various old copies of things down here, or some advanced reader copies that I haven't gotten to yet. These are a lot of mass market paperbacks or used bookstore type things on this skinny shelf. While this is the record shelf, we do have a lot of graphic novels down here, and we are trying to divest ourselves of many of them, but we haven't gotten to getting around to that yet. Okay, let's pause for a moment, and I hope you'll indulge me. There's some things I haven't shared because, well, I haven't shared anything at all on YouTube in a very long time. But this year, something really cool happened. Actually, it was at the end of last year. I was invited by Rue Morgue magazine to write a piece on horror and perfume. And if you don't know, I have been a Rue Morgue subscriber forever. It is like, I guess you could say the premier horror magazine. I've always thought so anyway. And I've been subscribing since like 2006. So I got to write that very cool article, and then they invited me back to do a recurring column. So I am now writing about my weird obsessions in every issue as Ghoul Next Door. I just thought you all might think that was really neat. I know I do. This is another skinny shelf of mass market paperbacks. Down there we've got more graphic novels. Unfortunately, there's some Warren Ellis and Neil Gaiman, and I don't know what to do with those. Both of those are very problematic shitheads, and I don't want to sell them because then I'll be somebody who owned their stuff, but I don't want to keep it either because I don't want to own their stuff, so we'll figure that out. Then we've got a lot of weird art. Some Japanese artists, and some Phantasm film art, I guess. That was a gift from a friend. And just various things like that on this shelf. These are more assorted books, probably a lot of horror. There's not many of Yvonne's books here, unfortunately. I think the David Eddings, that's probably the only thing that's his on these shelves. But actually, most of these 3 shelves here, these are all books that I am selling. While I love to read, I don't necessarily love books. And as it's gotten harder for me to read physical copies, I don't really need them. And there's so many books that I will never reread. And I told myself, never again am I going to move with 50 to 75 boxes of books on my hand. So if you see anything here that looks good to you, you can find it in my Pango bookshop. I mean, some of these are like brand new. This has never been read. This has never been read. This I somehow have 2 copies of. So you should investigate my shop if you are a book lover and you like to get things for cheap. So those are the main bookshelves, but I do have books all over the house. These are knitting books and fantasy art books. Actually, no, it's just fantasy art. And a fantastic little tea set that a friend of mine got me. And then I'm going to use this afternoon once I cool down. On the other side of the TV, we have all of the cookbooks. One that I use over and over again is Heidi Swanson's Supernatural Cooking. It has the 2 salads that I make all summer long. And here are my knitting books. Okay, lastly, over by our bar and tiki shelf area, we do have a few cocktail books. Not very many of them, but I do think we've gotten a lot of use out of this one. I got so hot filming that 5 minutes of video that I had to do a costume change. I had to put my hair up too. I know I kind of look like a radish, but whatever. Here's a funny thing. So, I'm an almost 50-year-old lady and I have never owned a midriff shirt. I thought, you know what? Who cares? I'm an old fart. I don't care if anyone sees my belly. So, turns out I have a real short torso. No one was ever going to see my belly anyway. So obviously I have put very little thought into this video because honestly, if I had given it any kind of thought, I wouldn't have done it at all. So that's why it's kind of scattered and all over the place and not very detailed or in depth, but it's kind of a peek at my bookshelves. It's a little bit of a tour. So I hope that goes to answering any questions you might have about the books on my shelves, or if perhaps it creates even more questions, feel free to leave me a comment and I'm always happy to give you more information on whatever it was you were wondering about. In the meantime, until my next video, which will probably be like another half year from now, you can always find me on my blog at unquietthings.com. You won't find me on social media right now. I am doing another social media break. Last summer I did a month. This time it's all summer long. It's a little bit like summer vacation. At least that's how it feels. And it's pretty glorious. I have to say, what I'm taking away from it the most is that I feel supremely unbothered. And I don't mean by the state of the world. It's going to hell. It's a shit show. Everything's bad and awful. It's not that. It's that I am not, first of all, I'm not spending any money. I'm not being influenced. I'm not feeling bad that I'm not skinny enough or pretty enough or ambitious enough or hustling enough. I just am unbothered and it feels really good. But at the same time, I know I'm missing out on a lot of things friends are doing, so I am kind of excited to get back in September. And if I haven't mentioned it here, and I know I haven't because I haven't been here, I am writing a new book. I can't say much about it now, but stay tuned. I think you'll find it's kind of in the same vein as my other weird art books, and if you dug those, then you'll probably think this one is pretty groovy too. Till next time, later, weirdos.